Drones sighted all over the Northeast. The FBI is asking the public for help. Janae Norman is in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, with that story for us. Good morning, Janae.
Hey, Robin. Good morning to you. Yeah, I'm here in Kennett Square because we've got a lot of fun coming up in our next hour regarding Christmas. But first, this story, it's making big news up where I live in North Jersey, Essex, Morris, Monmouth counties, where people are talking about this as far reported as Connecticut, all the way down here to the Philadelphia area, these drone sightings. And we are not talking about small toy-like drones that people would use for hobbies, but commercial grade drones, reportedly some the size of a small school bus or a small airplane. And neighbors are reportedly seeing these drones flying at night or in the early morning hours in flocks and at low altitudes. Neighbors reported being woken up by a buzzing sound, and officials don't have any answers.
That is not an airplane.
It's the latest in a string of mysterious drone sightings posted on social media that has residents worried. And this morning, the FBI is investigating.
They're just pacing back and forth, going very slow.
The drones, which appear to have been much larger than recreational drones, have been spotted all over New Jersey over the past weeks.
It looks like a spaceship.
From near Bedminster, the location of President Trump's golf course, to Monmouth County, where the sheriff's office has made this map of reported sightings.
With characteristic triangle lights underneath.
To Morris County, where 21 mayors signed a letter voicing their concerns to New Jersey's Governor Murphy.
We don't see any concern for public safety. Having said that, it's really frustrating that we don't have more answers as to where they're coming from.
And the sightings seem to be spreading.
This is the third time that it's come around.
With large drones reportedly in the sky around Philadelphia.
Look at it.
The mysterious flying objects preventing a medical helicopter from landing to pick up a car crash victim and prompting the FAA to issue flight restrictions prohibiting drone flights over Picatinny Arsenal Military Base and Trump National Golf Club Bedminster. And so the FBI tells us that they are still trying to figure out what's going on. In the meantime, those 21 New Jersey mayors, they are asking for not only a full investigation, but clear communication to local officials, law enforcement, and residents about what that investigation finds, as well as any necessary laws to prevent any unauthorized or unsafe use of drones that could impact the public, guys.
Yeah, this is all very, very concerning, Janae. Thank you.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
Sir, the FBI and our Newark field office, along with the state and local partners there, the Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned, just the unexplained sighting of drone activity over that part of New Jersey. We do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that, of one or more people that are responsible for those drone flights. But we're actively investigating. It is concerning.
Is the public at risk? Is public safety at risk? Are we concerned that there are nefarious intentions that could cause either national security or a public safety incident that would put Americans at risk?
There's nothing that is known that would lead me to say that, but we just don't know, and that's the concerning part.
This is the Nation's Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. As you heard, your government is playing dumb, as they always do, which isn't really hard for them to do, although I guess it isn't really playing dumb. It's just being deceitful. And the government is standing in front of Congress now and talking about how still, after a month, these mysterious drones are flying over New Jersey and parts of New York. Well, that's because they don't want you to know what they're actually doing, because if people actually realize it's their own government who's doing it, well, then people will become more suspicious of their government and, in fact, potentially revolt against their government. So what they want you to think is that it's China. What they want you to think, as some of the right conservative pundits are saying, is that it's a mothership, an Iranian mothership that's launching drones off of the East Coast and potentially putting a bomb somewhere in New Jersey or New York, remember always, your government is behind all of this, and they create boogeymen in your mind to make you think that it could be Russia, it could be China, it could be some mystery man in a cave somewhere, but it's never them, right? So what we've heard so far is nothing. The FBI, in fact, is telling us that they want tips and clues from us, from civilians, because they can't seem to figure it out. And if that answer is acceptable to you, then I guess it'll be acceptable to you on the day they show up at your door and taser you in the nuts, telling you that it's in the betterment of mankind that they do this, and then you just say, oh, thank you, may I have another. This is your government operating. This is your government playing dumb. This is your government being deceitful, and they want you to think that it's every possible thing imaginable, including UFOs, but they don't want you to ever think that it's actually them. And I'll prove to you that it's them, because it's very easy to use common sense logic. New Jersey military base had 11 confirmed mystery drone sightings, according to the Army. The U.S. Army is claiming that there have been 11 confirmed drone sightings over the military bases, okay? Now, how can we confirm that your government's allowing this to actually happen? We can confirm this just by a recent story that happened in the last 24 hours. Because a drone was flying over a military base in Los Angeles. And what happened to that drone? That drone was shot down. And a suspect who was Chinese was arrested for flying the drone over the U.S. military base. So do you see the two stories? On one hand, you have drones flying over U.S. military base in New Jersey, and the government saying, we don't know what it is. Not at all attempting to shoot it down. But in Los Angeles, when a civilian actually flies a drone over a military base, well, of course the government's going to shoot it down and arrest that person for doing it, because the government doesn't want them doing it. And that should be enough evidence in itself to tell civilians out there that it's your own government. Otherwise, they would shoot it down. And they're playing dumb because they're testing you. They want to see how you respond to all of this, just like they did with their Chinese spy balloon PSYOP. Remember the spy balloon that flew across America, and your government was playing dumb and refusing to shoot it down because debris might land somewhere and harm someone, and the balloon was flying across military bases, flying across the entire country, and your government was playing dumb? You remember that? Because when that happened, I talked about how the Pentagon already had admitted, and it's documented, was testing mass surveillance balloons across the United States of America. Just you weren't supposed to see it, and you weren't supposed to get suspicious of it. And that balloon that was flying across America was one of our own balloons, spying, geo-mapping the entire country out, getting mass surveillance on civilians in specific locations that they wanted to. And then, of course, telling you that it's China, it just makes you say, the Biden administration's incompetent. The Democrats are allowing China to fly balloons over our country. Nobody was ever asking the question of why your own government was admitting, why the Pentagon was admitting to sending out mass surveillance balloons across America, because nobody's paying attention to it, because they only pay attention to the stories that they gaslight you with. They only make you pay attention to things like, can men have babies, or can men play women's sports, and things like that, because they know you're going to pull your hair out and it's going to drive you nuts to talk about issues that shouldn't even be discussed. But what people should be talking about is, what does the U.S. government have planned for its own civilians? And of course, nobody wants to talk about that because it sounds horrifying. And of course, we know no conservatives want to talk about that because they want to think that by showing up at a ballot and casting a vote is going to change everything, because it gives them false hope into thinking that the future could turn out differently, that all it takes is for them to vote and they could empower somebody who the right person is to get the job done. These suckers fall for it hook, line, and sinker. And this right here, when the FBI comes out and tells you they don't know what it is and they don't shoot it down, when within seconds, if me or you flew a drone over a military base, not only would it be shot down within not even crossing over the base, if it was X amount of yards outside of the base in the air, they would shoot it down. They would also be at your front door within minutes, and you would be in handcuffs, and you wouldn't be at your local jail cell. You would be in a federal containment center, and you'd be getting questioned, and you'd likely be spending years in prison for doing it. So one of the rumors out there is that they're out there searching for a bomb that they've deployed. The government is hiding this from you because They're out there trying to find a bomb. A bomb is out there, an Iranian bomb, a bomb from another country, and your government's out there trying to protect you, but they don't want you to worry, right? If anything was actually happening with a bomb out there, you could bet your bottom dollar it's your own government who's putting the bomb out there. But that's not what's really occurring here. In fact, I've been following some of these things that have been going on Reddit, which have been getting removed. If you haven't heard, I'll share it with you here. So there's a New Jersey drones page supposedly on Facebook, a Facebook group that has 20,000 members, and people are sharing this stuff all around social media, okay? These are people who are tracking the drones, who are trying to figure out what's going on, because these are people who live in New Jersey. And again, if you're somebody who lives in New Jersey, feel free to go over to the website and share some of the images that you're capturing here on the website in the forum. That's what the forum there is for, to share this type of stuff, what you're actually seeing. Because I'm not in New Jersey, but if you are in New Jersey and you see these things, you should be capturing video footage of it or pictures of it and posting it on the forum on the website to give more credibility to some of the stories that are out there, because this is information that should be shared, and we should be looking at it deeper than what the national media is telling us, and certainly what the FBI tells us in Congress is, again, they just shrug their shoulders and play dumb, and we're supposed to believe that, oh, they're playing dumb because they're hiding UFOs. They're playing dumb because they don't want us to know that China's involved. They are running a DARPA experiment. That's what this comes down to. And one of the posts underneath this mystery drone forum that was posted, that has been deleted off of Reddit and deleted off of Facebook, said, I can tell you right now, there are military drones, our military. I have a commercial drone license, and they know when my drone is up after it reaches 50 feet. They can then assign a unique signature to it and track it on radar like a heat-seeking missile until it goes below 50 feet again. I talked to a friend in the military who also works with drones. He said 100% these are our drones, and they would only be used in such excess for a serious reason, and gave examples like tracking nuclear fallout from a dirty bomb that went off, or tracking biological weapons, tracking WMDs, or search for them from a credible threat. And he also goes on to say, I know of two families that left the state of New Jersey to stay with family elsewhere. They are both in the military. Guess what? Both of the family's husbands are deployed. That is why they are going to stay with family. It's suspicious. And the whole thing is obviously suspicious. It's also suspicious that there's many of these ships out to sea on the Atlantic coast that have these C-17s on there, these C-17 Globemasters, which are military cargo planes that transport drones. So there's clearly, this is a military operation. This isn't the guy up the road's teenage kids flying drones around. So what do they do while people are noticing this stuff? Well, they go to places like Newsmax and News Station. And what do they say? They say, are UFOs or drones flying over New Jersey? And they debate whether these are UFOs or not. And all one has to do is look at their own government and look at DARPA. Look at the size of DARPA's drones. They're literally the size of cars is what they're telling us. But these are like the size of small commuter airplanes, okay? And these are being deployed from the military, from these C-17s likely, every single night over the state of New Jersey. And then they're flying back out to sea. They're not being tracked on purpose. They're not being shot down on purpose. This is what DARPA does, okay? Your government runs all these experiments. Remember, DARPA is the same ones who have the DARPA bullet, right? DARPA has a bullet that can curve, that can move. It's literally like the magic bullet we all hear about with JFK. And I talked about that during those fake assassination attempts, that if the deep state actually wanted Donald Trump dead, that they would just use a DARPA bullet. They could hit him from way further than where that fake Manchurian candidate was, and they wouldn't miss, because you can't miss with the DARPA bullet. So DARPA does this testing to see the reactions of the public. This is the only way they could test and see how the public are going to respond to these things, okay? The uninformed people, which is the majority of people, they want to know what their reaction is going to be. What are they going to think that it is? Are they going to question their own government? Will they believe the narratives and the psyops that we feed them? And the answer is, of course, they will. They will believe it hook, line, and sinker, because these are people who still think that your vote counts. They don't realize that we are nothing more than an experiment. They literally call us the American experiment. They've literally created a mass psychosis in America, and people believe that the things that they're doing are via free will. They're via mind control. That's what America is. every decision that's being made by the majority of Americans is via mind control. They think that it's an independent decision, from how they dress to the food they pick at the grocery store to whether or not they put certain things inside their bodies or not. It's all a social experiment via social engineering, okay? DARPA has their long shot drones. DARPA has their Predator drones. DARPA has their Gremlin drones. These are legitimately massive drones, and they are not drones that can be undetected by radar unless, of course, they don't want them detected by radar. And clearly, if they didn't want these things flying over New Jersey, they would have shot them out of the sky, as the story over in California tells us at the same time, right? Because if you fly your drone above 50 feet, as that person said, or above a certain air, whatever the airspace is that you're allowed to get your drone up to in a certain state, it will get tracked, and it will likely get shot down if it nears a military base. And they're telling us in New Jersey that it's not only flying over people's homes, it's flying over military bases. So you would think that the FBI wouldn't just go, hey, can any of you guys give us answers? Hey, we're looking for your help. That the government would say, shoot them down immediately. If the government was doing its job and trying to protect you from outside threats, they would shoot it down. They wouldn't come to you and ask you what you think it is. Oh yeah, we know. Yeah, my friend Steve up the road, he's got 20 of those things and he flies them up every night. How did he get around your government surveillance and your radar and your technology? Well, Steve must really know what he's doing, right? What did he do? Put a rainbow flag on his drone so it will go undetected by radar? I mean, give me an utter break that people out there are listening to this and they're not being suspicious of their own government. It's laughable that people out there are letting the FBI even say things like this to them. That they're saying, we don't know. We don't know if it's a threat. Oh, you don't know if it's a threat, but you also have, New Jersey politicians who are calling for a state of emergency. That anything in the sky should be shot down and nobody should be able to fly drones. Well, that sounds reasonable. That sounds like a reasonable idea. How about that? Shouldn't that be what we're doing? How about you call for an emergency and you say, okay, if you really didn't know what it was and you were really, protecting us from an outside threat and you didn't know what it was, you would not allow anything in the sky. You certainly wouldn't allow it over an airbase. You'd be looking for it after day one. Wouldn't all the people on the air bases, the military bases, be saying, hey, you know what? There's drones flying around. We just got word from high up. There's drones flying around. They could be from China. If you see it, we'll shoot them down. Well, they wouldn't even have to, because the way that their radar defenses work now, they don't even have to have humans find these things to shoot them down in the first place. Okay? So they sit there and they go, we don't know what it is, but we're going to ask you for help. Yeah? And what is the civilians' answer going to be? I mean, literally, what are they going to tell? What are they expecting? Us to call the FBI and tell them Steve up the road's doing it? With his pride flags on his drones, that's how he's getting away from the radar? I mean, it's a joke. It's laughable that that we allow our government to act this way is laughable, right? And of course, everything they do, they always talk about data. And I always say that too. Data, right? You hear them say data, so you go, okay, they're talking about data. And everybody thinks their data is like, well, my address, I don't want it online. Oh, what I said, your data is you. Everything, every thought that you have, everything that you're thinking, they want to know about it, okay? So they use Twitter as a conscious mind in a sense. Think about what you post, or most people post on social media. They post what they're thinking. They post their reactions to news stories, and it goes into the system. And the system and the algorithms monitor it. And then they see, are they buying it or are they not? So they know how to pivot, and they know how to do this, to do that, to get you to do what they want. Because that's really what this experiment is. Getting you to submit and to, through deceitfulness, do what they want you to do. Through lots of different manipulation tactics to get you to comply. So the response from people out there should be, these look like, they're really big. No one's buying these at Walmart for Christmas this year. They should be saying, if they're that big, where are they getting them from? Oh, well, doesn't DARPA have a lot of these? What's DARPA doing with theirs? Right? Doesn't DARPA run a lot of these experiments and tests with, when they're not busy running weather modification experiments? Oh, right, they do, right? But of course, why would the government rat on themselves? Why would the government say, don't be suspicious? We're out there flying around. And because people will go, well, why are you flying over New Jersey? What's going on there? What are you looking for? What excuse would they give? Lithium? What excuse would they tell? We're looking for lithium mines? We're doing geo mapping above you? Huh? If they tell everybody that they're looking to disarm a nuclear bomb, that would probably cause a lot of panic and chaos, which maybe that is what they're trying to do, or maybe they're just trying to put one there in the first place. They are gauging a reaction. That's what they're doing. But you could bet your bottom dollar that the boogeyman behind it with 100% certainty is not China, it is not Russia, it is the United States military, because they wouldn't be doing it unless our government wanted them to do it, wanted it there, which means by default that it is your own government. Because if they shoot them down in California because the civilians doing it, they'd shoot all, how many ever of these there are, down over New Jersey. They put the guy's face on the news, they'd arrest him and say that he's a spy from another country, or that he's some type of a terror threat to this country, to set an example, to tell you not to try to fly your drones over government, military, Air Force bases, etc., right? But that's not what the case is here. Now, maybe it'll end up being a big false flag at the end of the day. It wouldn't surprise me at this point, because everybody seems to believe everything that gets put on the news. And that's really the point of why the news exists. They can make up stories to make you feel a certain way, to make you believe a certain thing. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Maybe it will be George Glass who gets named at the end of all this stuff. Or maybe they'll tell us it's actually one of Aleister Crowley's greys that's doing it, right? It doesn't matter what they tell you it is or who's doing it. We all know who's doing it. Everyone out there should know who's doing it. If it's allowed to happen over America, then your own government is allowing it to happen. And they're watching how you respond to it. And clearly the majority of people, while some might be angry and some may be suspicious, still aren't questioning their own government. They're questioning every other government out there. But they don't realize that all the governments are working together. The New World Order is in place. It's established. The U.S. is working with Russia, working with China, working with Iran. They're all working together. Against who? Well, against you and me and all of us citizens of the earth. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.